Welcome race fans to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast with Cam K and GRAYDON BUNN. True Canadian race fans. This show is presented by Remax Jack. Call Remax Jack and start to pack. Green flag is out. Let's get this podcast underway.
Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast on our Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports special or spectacular. I don't know. That's spectacular. Spectacular sounds better. We are here with the co-owner. He is the Hall of the Hall, Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports. Mark Hall is here on the show. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys.
Oh man, this is a long time coming, man. We've had you guys support. We've been supporting you guys for a long time. But first thing we got to ask, Mark, is how did you get involved with Mike to form this team?
Well, I've been around racing for a long time. Mike had been around racing for a long time. Always kind of knew who each other were, but never actually collaborated on anything. My dad worked a little bit on Beauchamp's car with Mike when he helped Ron Beauchamp the one year. My dad's been around the Cass car and Pinty series for, over 20 years now. He was actually Jack Monahan's crew chief the last year that Jack ran. So, and I crewed on that car too. I was an over-the-wall guy in that car. So then, anyways, Mike kept running to me at hockey games and junior C games in Essex. He kept saying, when are you going to come work on my race car? When are you going to come work on my race car? And I told my wife when my boys were born, no more race cars. So now my boys are 19 and 17. And I told Mike, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll go to Delaware with you one night. And next thing you know, I told my wife, I'm going to Flamborough with Mike. And next thing you know, my name was on the car, and here we are. So I wasn't too sure at first because I saw Mike wreck a lot of race cars when he was 15 years old, and I was sitting in the stands as a 13-year-old at checker flag. So, but it's been good. It's been a real good fit.
That's cool that you brought up Checkered Flag Speedway and what that kind of means to the origins, like the Coupe division kind of evolved into the Sportsman series, if I'm right, and what that track meant to you guys down in that area.
I was going to that track. My dad worked on Monahan's car then. I've been going to that track since I was born. So definitely grew up there, and it was always, my will eventually be old enough to go into the pit. Once I finally got out of racing for a little bit. But at that time, Hryniuk had already started. So our paths had kind of crossed. There's probably a go-kart story you could tell you from way back then. They used to have a thing where they'd pull a kid out of the crowd. And it was always my goal to be that kid that got pulled out of the crowd to go and race a go-kart 3 laps around the track. Well, the one they gave me, there was something wrong with it. And I was probably the only kid ever to get lapped in a 3-lap race. Well, Hryniuk actually went on that year to be the kid that won the final race of the year. And he actually won a go-kart. And that was his first race car that he had. So our paths kind of crossed then. I don't remember, but I'm sure we did. I'm not sure if he's going to lap me. I would never admit to that. So
that's still pretty cool. Small world.
Yeah.
So where does the decision come? You're partnering up with Mike that you're going to partner up and continue. Was he already in the Sportsman series and you just kind of joined in? Or when did that decision come to then expand to multiple cars?
A few years before I came along, Mike had started running with Rennie Motorsports, and due to health issues, and then eventually passed away. Mike ended up buying the race team off the Rennie family, and then he was in need of somebody else that could come along and help him out, and that's kind of where he got me involved, and that's how it ended up where it is. So if it wasn't for the Rennie family, this wouldn't even exist. That they had done quite well with Mike in the car. And then it just got to a point where he's like, it's time for the kid to get in the car and it's time for me to retire, which obviously hasn't lasted that long because now he's going to get in a midget car this year. So it should be interesting.
Definitely, for sure. It'll be interesting. The transition just for the business side, because we got to have the co-owner on to talk about this because you guys have a very good knack of finding companies to come on board. And, what I like about what we see on the 75, what we see on the 2, what we see on the 15 is various sponsor sizes, but they're all over. What is your philosophy when you go out to get a sponsor? Is it how do you approach that? I don't want to give away your secrets.
Yeah,
whatever you're doing,
I think you're asking for the Bible.
Whatever you're doing is working. So,
you don't go ask for money. It's not about money. It is ultimately, but it's about a partnership, right? What can you give them in return?
What makes the world go round, right?
Yes. What can you give them in multimedia exposure? What can you give them on track exposure? What can you do for them? Like we do shows on the side. One of our sponsors calls up, hey, can you have the car at, local festival? I think those used to happen a couple of years ago, didn't they? And yeah, if I remember back, we do, you bring the car out there and love meeting with the fans and, in the pits. Like that's what it's all about. You got to give sponsors bang for their buck, make them feel like they're part of something, right? Like if you're just saying, hey, I need $1,000 to make, I'll stick a sticker on the car. That's not going to cut it. That's not the way to approach it. Yeah, you definitely got to give them bang for a buck and make them feel like they're part of something.
And you guys have gained a couple of great partners. And I actually, through you, which I have to thank, picked up the Action trailer there down Strathroy in the fall. And they gave me a little deduction because I mentioned your name, which was kind of nice. So thanks for that. And you got the support of Landshark Canada this year and Quick Fire Starters as well with that amazing program that they have going too.
Yeah, Shane and the guys at Action Trailers, that's a great thing there for us that, so Mike actually used to run for Shane's dad. Shane's dad owned a truck back in the day, a mini truck, and Mike actually drove for him. So that's what the original connection is on that.
I saw pictures in the dealership when I was down there.
Yep. Mike was their driver for them, and he won some races for them. And
nice.
So that was kind of the beginning of that. Old racetrack connections. Some of the sponsors have come from, and you're always making new friends. So
we call it the Sportsman Series, but now the National Stock Car Series. Yeah. Why run that series, and what is it that it provides for you guys?
The biggest thing with the Sportsman Series, it's almost like a family. It really is. Everybody in the pits. It's people you've known for years. A lot of the times, it's the ability to still use older cars. Which drives the cost down so much. Okay. Like our budget for the year is not even what an APC team's probably spending on a motor. It's
wow.
Well, they're spending a little bit more on what they spend on a motor, but not much. Yeah. So anyways, it really is an economical series for bang for your buck. It's unbelievable that way, and it's nice to run the touring series where you get around to the different tracks. You see the different people. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a good series.
And competition level still is fierce. So being able to run those, the older cars, we've got to ask the history behind the three that you have. Do they have long histories, and where did they come from?
Well, the 15 car that Michael drives was originally built. It's a McCall car. It was originally built for Sean Dupy back in the day. It was a brand new car. Nice. The first night Sean had it, I believe he told me he put it on its roof at Delaware.
Rode it up
the famous Delaware walls.
Yeah.
It's Mike. I'm pretty sure it was first time out. Might have been second time out. So that's where that car comes from. The 75 car was we bought off Jay Dewar, and it ran as the 40 car in our series previously. And then prior to that, it was originally a Scott Lindsay car, and it's also a McCall car that had been built for Scott way back then. There's pictures of it. You'll see it as the number 20 Fram car, and it was a very sharp looking car. Yeah, so that's where that car originally started from. And not many original parts left on them anymore, but drivers tend to bend those, so.
But the looks that you guys have going on the cars this year look really good. The nice orange on the 75 and the traditional, the company colors on the 15.
Yeah. I also like the Bumblebee of the number 2. I think that looks real nice. The black and the yellow. I think that's a good looking hot rod.
For sure.
Todd likes his neon. He likes his bright colors. He definitely does. The 15 car is going to look basically like it did before. Okay. Maybe a little bit of a twist to it. So Obviously, Quick will be on the rear quarters this year, so that's going to be a big addition to the side of the car, which will look a lot different from before. So shuffle a few things around on it. Like the looks of the car. The blue definitely is a throwback, kind of a tribute to Mike when he used to run, because Mike had a lot of blue cars, as you can see in the past. Yeah. And then the orange was my call, because my dad, working on Monahan's car back in the 70s, it was orange. So that's where that orange comes from. And the 75, of course, comes from Mike. That was one of his numbers when he ran back then. So
yep. STP 75.
Yep.
That was going to be my shirt choice if this didn't show up today, was my STP shirt. But look at how everything worked out so good.
Now, we're going to ask this question because I want to get kind of, again, another team owner's perspective on it. When we talk about maybe some sponsorship issues down south in terms of NASCAR in their Cup Series, well, what do you think, and in racing in general, why is it that you think companies maybe aren't flocking or not part of it as much? We go back to like the 90s, the early 2000s. There was a lot of really reputable, well-known companies, and that's not really the case anymore, including our Pinty series and across the board. Do you have just kind of your own idea as to why that would be?
Skyrocketing cost. Yeah.
Skyrocketing cost.
Like it's gotten out of control how much NASCAR is spending. Hopefully with the new car coming in next year, that opens more opportunities and cuts their budgets substantially. The Pinty series is quite expensive to run. And as we know, and it is cost cutting. That's why we like our series so much. Obviously, we're not at the level of what they're doing, but we can do things economically in our series. So, but down south, that is definitely the problem. The cost, or like, I bet you a truck team is probably spending more than Cup teams were 10 to 15 years ago. It's gotten that ridiculous, probably.
And in terms of a solution across the board, like you guys are able to form relationships, obviously with your companies, the smaller companies, but what do you think, companies maybe want out of a partnership nowadays that maybe they didn't years ago?
I don't know. They want obviously they always want their brand recognition. It comes down to literally clicks on the internet. It comes to airtime on the TV, watching you with a stopwatch. Like, it's, they bang for their buck. That's what they're looking for. And at the same time, they want to feel part of something again, get back to that. It really comes down to that. It comes down to numbers, strictly numbers. That's what they're looking at sometimes, those likes or clicks or whatever.
Well, it's having that series that you do have. If you have that next level promotion and that sort of thing, as we said, the competition would be every bit as fierce as another series that would be a little more maybe recognized. But if you guys just get that next level, like a G-Force partner, if you will, or something like that, your product, I'm sure I've watched some on the YouTube channels now that it looks super competitive. So do you think with the right promotion that could kind of help your series take to the next level?
Exposure never hurts. Like, the more exposure you get is the more you can present to your sponsors and say, we got X amount of people watching, is that much more valuable for us. But at the same time, you got to watch it. It doesn't drive cost up somehow too, right? Like, I know a lot of the TV packages, they want money to be on the air, and it takes too much away from purses the other way. So it's kind of a give and take a little bit.
That's nice to have the owner's perspective, because those are all things that have to be considered for this too, right? It's got to be the perfect balance of all those things, that it works for sort of everyone involved and not get carried away with the expenses.
Right, for sure.
And keep it fun, most of all, right? I mean, this is something that you guys get together and try to have some laughs and enjoy the spirit of competition, I guess, too, right? Aside from stressing about the dollars and cents of it all.
Yeah, you know, like our team's very family oriented. Both my sons work on the car. My wife's around all the time. Mike's wife's around all the time. Like very much everybody travels with their family on the car. We got my uncle helping on the car this year, who's going to be turning 80 pretty soon. And we got to slow him down. He's going to wear me and Mike out. My uncle Bob, he worked on Beauchamp's car for like 25 years, and he hasn't been doing anything for the last, as far as race cars go, for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And now he's helping us, and it's he's quite the firecracker. That
raring to go.
He's awesome. So but it's a very family oriented thing. That we have a good time. Our camper follows us to the track, and after the races, you get the fire going with your quick wicks, and you have a few pops, and you have a good time. A lot of the other teams come over too. Any of that hang around. Like I know after our last race at Flamborough, our last full season there, it was quite the party that we can't talk about too much, some of the stuff, but it was a good time. And a lot of the teams were there. At least probably half the teams from our series were there partying with us. So.
Yeah, as you were saying, I mean, you want to beat each other fair and square on the track, but off the track, it's a party when you're all together and hanging out. Yep. Cool.
It's
Mark, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. We know you have a long list of sponsors that you would have to thank. So luckily the drivers were able to take care of that for you. If we have any prospective companies that are interested in being a partner on your race team, how would they be able to get a hold of you?
We're on Facebook, Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports. We're on Twitter. We now have a website that was recently completed. Thanks to you, Cam, for hooking me up with the website that I did it through. It's actually gone quite well. We're getting quite a few hits on it. But it's Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports at Weebly.com. .weebly.com, I believe is the website address. You can get to it through our Facebook page. There's a link right at the top. And, we've also there's lots of social media stuff we've been doing. So, we're always looking for more. We'd like to get that 2-car filled up with some more sponsors, and there's always room for other places on any of the cars. So
excellent.
We can work with you.
You guys are doing great, man.
Yes. Yep. Thank you so much, Mark.
All right. No problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
Stickers and Scuffs are proud supporters of Laps for MD. Laps for MD helps those with muscular dystrophy by raising funds, supporting MD charities through racing. We encourage those who are not already a part of the Laps for MD family to check them out on social media and their website, lapsformd.blogspot.com.
Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We are finishing up our, what do we call it? The Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports Spectacular with the namesake himself, Mike Hryniuk Sr. is on the show. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you, taking the time and having us on here. We watch your show. It's awesome. It's good for motorsports, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. And thank you. I don't know if I've discussed this with you, Mike, but you and I have a history more than you even know. Way back when you drove an 80, I want to say it was like a lime green. I could be wrong if it was lime green in the CASCAR Sportsman Series. And I got to see you drive, I believe you and Sean Dupy split it one year. If I'm maybe.
I had an injury. So I'm real close with Sean, and we ended up putting him into the car.
So we had at Peterborough Speedway in 2005,
maybe six, probably 5 or 6.
Yeah,
that's going back.
That's going back
a long time ago.
Yeah,
a lot of laps ago.
Little guy.
Yeah. And, actually that car was Mauricio Koki's car, longtime friend. And I had been out of racing, and he phoned me up and said, "Hey, I got the car sitting here." He run into some medical issues. So that's how I kind of jumped back in. That's one of the many times I got back in after being out for, a short period, or 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. I can't remember.
Well, you're doing it again because you're going Can-Am racing this year. You got to be excited to get back behind the wheel.
Yeah, you know what? Corey Whittam, give me the call about the Can-Am midget. And I've known the kid is such a natural. And I figured, you know, with everything we got going on, you know, he asked me, and I really had no desire to sit back into something, but I've never sat in a Can-Am midget car. I'm really looking forward to it. And you know what? We're bringing a lot to the table. It's going to help his program. You know, I'm not sure how many races I'm going to do. You know, I am getting older, right? So we'll see. It might be 4, it might be 5, it might be 2, right? But Corey's going to run some. I like to see Junior get into it, turn some laps. I'm going to have to get him running, jogging, eating less. You know, when I jumped into the car when I was down at Corey's, I can't believe how tight it was, right? And I'm not a super big guy. I'm maybe 160 pounds, and it's tight to get into this thing. I'm looking forward to it with just the weight to power ratio is going to be something a little bit different than what I'm used to, right? So I'm not looking to light the world on fire. You know, just get out, have a little bit of fun, and help Corey's program.
Nice. Talk about the roots and origins of your family race team, Mike. What your racing roots? How deep do you go?
Well, this stuff started back in the late 60s, early 70s. My dad worked with a fellow from the Windsor area named Johnny Banks Sr. They had a couple Winston Cup cars that were actually Buddy Arrington cars.
Nice.
And those cars come from Richard Petty's stables, right? Because Arrington was supplied with that stuff. So they picked up a couple of those cars. And then they were getting the motors out of Shadowwoods Racing, which was Tiganelli back in the day, which Diamond Engineering. So they were good pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And they would do probably 10 cup races a year. They were doing some USAC, different things like that. So I was brought up in that environment, running from Talladega to Milwaukee to Daytona, Michigan.
Awesome.
So, you know, that was my life growing up. And, you know, I always knew that I would race. It was just something right from when I was a little kid, right?
Can't escape it.
My guys are Richard Petty and David Pearson and those kind of guys, you know, with the little dinky cars and all that stuff. So, you know, I think it's born into you. So it's been very interesting. I've met a lot of great people, you know, and geez, I'm 51 now. So, you know, when I'm 40 started racing at Checker, you're talking 1985, right? And being fortunate enough to land a sponsor like STP and run the Cast Car series back when it truly was in its heyday, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the best short track drivers from every track across Ontario and Canada. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you had to do it week in and week out, and you had to compete against. I know one of the things we follow is the Cast Car Glory Years Facebook group, which you're administrator of, and always like to go back and you hear the days of there being 50, 60 cars trying to qualify for a race. It's just and then of course you see kind of where we're at right now with racing.
Yeah,
you know, it's such a tough thing. So, you know, we really wanted to get you on, you know, because you've seen all of that, and this series, what it is right now, the NASCAR. I'm going to do that all the time. The National Stock Car Association, also the Ontario Sportsman Series. You've got good car counts. You've got great drivers, reputable drivers, names from the past, future names, including what is it about this series that's right for Hryniuk-Hall Motorsports?
The economical part of it, right? You know, I try and do everything the right way, as far as tires and the equipment and that sort of thing. It's doable. The schedule's not so overwhelming that you can't, you know, a deal where the cars aren't prepared, right? So usually we have a week in between races. So the pressure, you know, it's a little more laid back. A good thing too, I like about the series is it travels all across Ontario. So say somebody like myself or Todd Shepard or my son, they're getting a taste of all different kinds of speedways, from Peterborough to the Sunset, Sauble. You know, it goes on and on and on. So they have a tire rule in place. So we're, you know, allowed like 18 tires, right? Which you add that up, that can be pricey too, right? It's a deal where the everyday working fella can go and have some fun and put a really good race program together. And these cars they're not easy to drive, right? They're heavy. They got terrible brakes, not the best shock package, and they're not on a 10-inch tire, you know? So a lot of it comes down to not necessarily horsepower, but it comes down to setups and being smooth and consistent, which, you know what, that's where drivers need to progress. If they can do that, you know, they got a shot to progress further, you know, with the Pinty series or the APC series or whatever form of racing that you choose.
Yeah, I think GRAYDON, you know, you touched on it earlier, is that there's similar, it seems like there's a ladder system in a way. It's not an official ladder system, but you have those divisions that you can start off in, and then you can naturally progress. We saw it with Connor James, you know, Connor won the championship and then he ran Pinty's, you know, so there are options there. You know, do you guys feel that running the tracks that you currently do, that there would ever be I don't want to say a need, but would there ever be an opportunity for you guys to do something similar to the Pinty's and run, say, a dirt race or run a road course or go to accompany another major series like a Pinty series, like it used to be?
Well, yeah, you know what? It's wide open. So Dave Alexander ran the series for a very long time. Dave did a great job. We got Jim Bray that's come in. Jim's got a lot of history in auto racing, and you know, he's a very intelligent man, and he's going to keep things simple, right? And have an open mind. So you know what? You might see us on dirt. That possibly could happen. You know, there's been some interest. I don't want to get too far into it, but we'll have to wait and see. The pandemic has really thrown a curveball. All short tracks, all race series, and for people in general, right? So, you know, hopefully we see some light here soon. I think we're all ready, right?
We're ready
to keep the momentum going, you know, through all this stuff with generating and bringing in people and sponsors. And it's been tough, right? It's been tough. I talked to Jim today, and we're waiting on word from the government, obviously, on how things are going to progress, and also communication with the racetrack, because they're waiting, right? So once that happens, I feel very confident we're going to be racing sooner or later. It's going to happen, right? So, you know, I think with Jim coming along and on board, and they brought some new corporate sponsors, and they're going to be adding stuff. There's a lot of momentum in this series. Some really good racers, and it's, you know what I like about it too? It's 100 lappers, right? So guys can, you know, get into that rhythm, and they can, you know, slowly pull a guy in, and then have 5 laps to study him and see where he makes a mistake, and then capitalize on it. Where sometimes the shorter races, it's hard on equipment. You got to go, right? And, you know, it happens real quick. I like the longer races, especially for, new guys like my son and Todd Shepard and Kevin Lay. It gives them a chance to learn how a car can maybe start off tight, and then as it cools off and gets a little bit into darkness, you know, the car will tighten up or loosen up, and to be able to change and react to that as a driver. You know, these are what makes a race car driver progress and become better at the sport.
Yeah, I think,
Mike. Yeah, sorry.
Great. I want to touch on this because I think this has been one of our favorite, you know, interviews. You know, the fact that we've had all of your team, you're all willing to come on. You know, you all have great, like each one has had a great story. And I think it's just, we really want to focus and get some attention to this series, because, you know, I think it's a hidden gem. You know, it was, when I went and saw it years ago with Cascar, It was, I think, the Power Water Series for a bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was right up there, if not better than the CASCAR race. So I feel it's the same way. You know, we just got some names on there. And Mike, we want to take the opportunity to say thank you for coming on, for your whole team for coming on and chatting with us.
You know what, you guys doing this kind of stuff, it's good for motorsports, right? All the way around. I think we all just need to stay positive, right? And it's been tough. It's been a tough goal for everybody to stay positive. You know, it's, you know, who would have thought that this would have happened, right?
Yeah, really. Eh?
You know, it's crazy. But there is, you know, things are going to turn around, and we just got to keep working at it. You know, you guys doing this deal here, it helps. It helps racing. It helps teams like ourselves. It helps sponsors. They get their name out there. These things are all very important to, you know, keep progressing. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm restless, just like you guys, right? Seems like it's been forever. I don't know how many races we're going to get into. I think you're going to see the schedule being pushed back into September and probably into October, right? Where usually a lot of things would wind down Labor Day weekend, and then we get into all the specials at all the different short tracks. So I think things are going to be pushed back. The Pinty series, we're all patiently waiting to see when that schedule comes out. You know, APC is going to be starting up here soon. So yeah, it's time. I think everybody's ready to rock.
If the snow's not flying, I'll wear the Carhartts. I don't care how cold it gets. If they have us in the stands, bring it on. Yeah.
We're Canadian.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, yeah, Mike, as a compliment back to you guys for having merch available to the fans that we can support you guys. We're geared up and ready to get the stands, and we're happy to support you boys. And got the Landshark koozie there too, or fins up tonight. So thanks a lot for coming on with us, and for being a true grit racer and sharing some of your fun stories with us. This has been a hell of a night for us. So we appreciate it very much.
Maybe I'll have an opportunity to come back on, and we can dig into some of the old CASCAR stories, because there was a lot of characters back in the day, and a lot of great racers.
We have yes, that's an idea for some. We might have some, you know, a podcast series potentially that we want to, you know.
Oh, for sure. There's so much history in Canadian motorsports, and so many great runners over the years, right? Like some top-notch guys.
NASCAR was born in 81, just like me.
There you go, 81. Jeez, I think I was almost getting ready for high school in 81.
I don't want to tell you where I was. I want to tell you where I was.
Nice.
Then I didn't come around for another 10 years, so
there you go.
Missed a lot of great racing.
It's been super fun, Mike.
Well, listen, I truly appreciate what you guys are doing, and look forward to, you know, watching and seeing a lot of more exciting things out of you guys.
Yeah, we really hope.
Well, hopefully we'll see you later in the summer too.
Yes, we hope.
Yes,
we'll bring the BUNN
for sure.
Us, and the BUNN Sons will definitely get a taste of the National Stock Car Association.
My boys will love it.
Up out there, and
for sure, I can't wait to meet them. They're characters.
Yeah, they couldn't be in here tonight, but we'll definitely we'll bring them around for sure.
I appreciate what you guys do. Like I said, you know, a lot of people follow your stuff, and this stuff's good for motorsports in general. So keep it up. Appreciate it.
Man.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take
guys,
care.
have a great one.
You too.
Thank you.